Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Oh, it just keeps getting crazier, doesn't it? You know, it's like apparently September, all the planets, I don't know, there's something weird. There was the eclipse, there was this, that, and the other. So we're looking forward to October when hopefully things calm down, isn't it? Just talk about a crazy world. We know it's crazy, but just when we think it can't get much crazier, it does, doesn't it? Anyway, we're going to talk about Erin today, about the mushroom murderess. That although this case really, you could, technically it's over, isn't it? Erin has gone into the hellhole. We have put the mushroom murderess into the hellhole. But of course, she's likely to appeal against her sentence. And now what we're going to talk about today, a few things about this case. Because an interesting thing is that the prosecution are thinking of appealing against the sentence, that it's too short. So just to remind people, I mean, we will be reminding ourselves through this video what actually this case is about. These poor people up in the top right hand corner of the video, or it might be left hand depending on how you're looking at it. This is Don, Gail, Heather and Ian, and these poor people were lured to a lunch with that horrible woman, the mushroom murderess, and served up a poisoned plate of beef Wellington with death cap mushrooms, and they died. 3 of them died agonizing deaths. Ian survived. The guy on the far right survived, Ian Wilkinson, but only just. I mean, he had to have a transplant. He's still got health issues. And he lost his wife. His wife was Heather Wilkinson, one of the victims. So 3 people died agonizing deaths as a result of the mushroom murderess's actions, and 1 person nearly died. And her sentence is 33 years, minimum of 33 years, and then she can be considered for parole. Now, when we listened to the sentencing, I think we all felt that this was not enough. That is basically 3 dead people, agonizing deaths, planned murder, took time to plan. She knew what she was doing. She sat there and watched them eat it. She said goodbye to them, probably gave them a hug or whatever, and saw them off at the doorstep, knowing that they were dying as they left her house. 33 years, really, if you count the deaths, that's 11 years per person. And then, of course, Ian, for the attempted murder of Ian. So we thought at the time it wasn't a good say. I mean, to me, it was a no-brainer. Erin should have received life without parole. These people have got no parole. They can't. They're not going to get a second chance. Ian's got a life sentence now, living without his wife and knowing what was done to him and how he was nearly murdered. I think Justice Beale was wrong to give this sentence. Now, his reason for giving a slightly more lenient sentence than maybe he felt inclined to was that the mushroom murderess will probably have to be in solitary confinement for the rest of her natural, for the time that she is in prison. So that's why he gave her a break, if you like, gave her a bit of a break, gave her a chance at parole when she will be in her 80s at the end of the day, but lots of people live to 100 these days, and this mushroom murderess, she's a woman of means. She has money, she'll come out and she can still, live, have a bit of a life. These people, the 3 that were murdered, they are in the twilight of their life, the golden years, in their 60s. I think Don was the oldest, he was 70, and the others were in their 60s. Supposed to be that's the time, you know, that they're supposed to relax. And they were lovely people. They were religious people, went to church. They were kind to Erin, and she repaid them by killing them in a very nasty, painful way as well. We should not underestimate what these people went through. So yeah, it does seem like a lax sentence. You know, you always, you know, except in America, some states of America where, you know, they do seem to get really good sentences. You know, sometimes you do think the punishment never fits the crime. All the attention is on the perpetrators. Oh, mental health issues. Oh, you know, she supposedly had eating disorders, had this, that, and the other. Nobody spoke up for her as a character witness. A family, she said she had no family, but she's got a sister, but her sister has never spoken. She's got this friend, hasn't she, Ali, that turns up. You'd be frightened to go for a meal with her, wouldn't you? You know, she's a horrible person. She planned it. I mean, so this is not even, you know, this is not a passion, you know, crime of passion, like just in a moment of madness, you know, where we can all lose it. You know, none of us are above sort of moments of, you know, this was premeditated, planned. She knew what these, and these people were good to her. These were not people who'd done anything wrong to her. You know, they'd only ever supported her and been good to her. She said that. So it just makes it even worse. So to me, the sentence should have been life without parole. To me, there's just no question. Anyway, apparently the prosecution are not happy with the lightness of the sentence. So Erin, as far as I know, that her defence team have not declared an intention to appeal. They'd be mad if they appealed, really, to be honest. I mean, they must have thought, oh my God, they've had a real result there with 33 years and then the chance of parole. But apparently, now I need to just say they haven't actually appealed yet, the prosecution team, but they're said to be going to appeal. And that's quite unusual for prosecution to appeal against the severity of a sentence, you know, saying that it's not severe enough. It's quite unusual, that. So that's what we're going to talk about. We might have a little look as well at Trumpety Trump, who's landed in England. Good old Trumpy. I just want to show you this because now, do you know what? I believe in realpolitik. You know, at the end of the day, Donald Trump is the president of America, and I'm not against him being called for a state visit. I know at the end of the day, Keir Starmer, except they're trying to make a good deal for Britain, and I'm not against that because, you know, you can't, he is the president and he was elected and you have to accept it, even if it's with gritted teeth. But I don't know if you saw this. So, of course, he's staying at Windsor Castle. He loves all that Trumpy, doesn't he? He loves a lot of Americans, don't they? You know, and no offence to any Americans that might be watching, but quite often they're critical of the British, but really they love all the pomp and ceremony and they miss not having a royal family, you know, etc. Can you imagine Elon Musk? I mean, you know, he's interfering with British politics, isn't he? But I bet he'd love a visit to the King and the Queen. You know, I am not a royalist, so sorry. To me, it's Charlie Boy and Shamilla. She'll never be my queen. He'll never be my king. But I can see the power of soft power with someone like Trump. At the end of the day, you have to deal with the reality, don't you? You know, he is the president of the United States, and Britain is so inextricably entwined with the United States. You can't divorce our fortunes from those of the United States. You know, we need the United States just as we need some other countries that maybe we're not that happy about dealing with, but we have to. That's the way the world, unfortunately, it shouldn't be, but it is. But I don't know if you saw this, which, because of course there's all the Epstein scandal. that, you know, he's the ghost of Christmas past, isn't he? Brian Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, he's not going away. And of course, then there's Prince Andrew. Now, Randy Andy, he lives there at Windsor. So do you think he'll be having a little chat with Trumpy? You know, will it be like talking of old times on the Epstein Island? You know, and of course, even Charlie Boy's got his associations and everything. The royal family have always been entwined with PDFs since year dot, really, haven't they? You know, there's been lots of rumours swirling, and of course, they were big friends with Jimmy Savile. We mustn't forget all this. I mean, all these bad people, they were all revered, you know, loved by the royal family. Anyway, never mind. That's not what I'm here to talk about today. But I just wanted to show you this. Did you see this? This was the photo that was unravelled in the grounds of Windsor. But also, they've managed to project a hologram, because obviously you can imagine security is really tight at Windsor. Now, I don't know if you know Windsor, but it's a beautiful place. Where's the one anyway, I can't see the one, but anyway, there's been a hologram put up on Windsor Castle as well. You know, people are making their views known. Isn't that free speech? But no, 4 people have been arrested for putting a hologram up on the on Windsor Castle. So there you go. So much for free speech. As I say, and as I've always said, people who believe in free speech or say they do, they only mean just as long as you agree with me. That's all they mean about free speech. But yeah, so it's a funny old situation, isn't it? So Windsor's a beautiful place. I've worked it. I lived in Reading near Windsor. I've been to Windsor many times. I used to work on the race course there, which is just up from Windsor Castle. It's a lovely, lovely town. It really is a beautiful town. And the castle is beautiful, and it just is lovely. And Trumpy, he will be loving every minute of it. So we might have a little look at that at the end. But first of all, we're going to talk, of course, about Erin and about this. We're going to talk about the possible appeal by the prosecution. We're going to have a look at a little video that I found just accidentally online that will just give us a summary of the case. And we're going to have a little think about why, some theories that people have had about why Erin although Simon's family, or Simon, certainly her estranged husband, he felt that she had tried to kill him a few times. We found that out, didn't we? But these poor people, they still went along to this lunch, you know, and you just think, why did they go? You know, if only they wouldn't have gone. I mean, it's not their fault, it's her fault, but you know what I'm saying. If my, I don't know, one of my family said to me that they thought that they'd been poisoned by another person that was sort of part of the extended family, that'd be the last place you'd go for lunch. But, you know, there's a few theories about why these poor people ended up going to the lunch. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching, for liking, for subscribing, for being such nice people that you can come on my channel, you can give your views but not be nasty. Those of you who can't come on and not be nasty, well, you need to find another channel, and I'm sorry, but you wouldn't be missed. The other thing is, what else did I want to say? Special thank you to my members. We're whistling towards Thursday, tomorrow's members live again, because this is Wednesday if you're watching this live. And the members lives have got a couple of videos on UFOs, because a lot of my members like to talk about UFOs, but I've got quite a few things to talk about tomorrow. And anyway, we just have a laugh, don't we, and it's a very more informal, isn't it, the members live? I'm looking forward to that. Thank you to those of you who've bought Ko-fis, who've PayPal'd me, who've sent super stickers. Thank you so much. But thank you to anyone who has liked, subscribed, watched. You know, all of these are things that any positive thing you've done to support my channel. Thank you so much. Thank you for your emails. Thank you for your nice messages. Thank you for your horrible messages as well, because they do improve the algorithm. So thank you. Where am I now? So yeah, so hi, lovely lurkers. Thank you so much for watching. So these are the lovely lurkers, of course, are the people who like to watch but they don't the lives but don't necessarily want to join in the chat. But thank you. I want to say hello to you loathsome lurkers. Why are you still watching? You know, go and watch something else if you don't like me. But thank you anyway. I'd like to say hello to Replay Crew. Thank you so much for watching. And now I'm going to go into the chat and say hello to those of you who are brave enough to venture into the chat. So remember, the only rules of my chat are be respectful to each other and me. And also, don't mention other YouTube channels by name. You can mention other channels or social media, just not by name, that's all, because it always leads to some sort of, you know, I don't like commenting on other YouTube channels for the simple reason, whether I like them or I don't like them, you know, people infer things into things that I say, and you know, I don't like YouTube wars. I don't like getting into all that drama. So anyway, that's it. Apart from that, say what the hell you like, as long as it's respectful. Okay, let's see who's here. So there's a few of you here. Hey, Angel, how are you? I hope you're okay. Hi, Bluebell. Yeah, October will be spooky. Well, we'll be definitely having a Halloween party. That's 100% certain. Looking forward to it, actually. Because I think last year we missed the Halloween party because it was the time of the floods in Valencia and it was just so, you know, so awful. It didn't seem right having a Halloween party because, of course, Halloween at the end of the day, it's talking about dead people and things like that. And it just didn't seem appropriate. But I think we'll have a Halloween party definitely this year. Yeah, so Bluebell for you, because Bluebell's down under, it's like starting to get lighter at night for you, whereas like here in Spain and the UK, etc., and other places, it's starting to get darker earlier. Oh, it's great. You know, it is a little bit cooler here. Those who've been watching my channel, only it's 26 degrees all the same. Here, anyone who doesn't know me, I'm in mainland Spain. It's been absolutely roasting this summer, like so hot, 45 degrees sometimes. It's currently 26 degrees, which feels cool, but it's actually still quite hot, isn't it, really, when you think about it? Hi, David. Yeah, sorry, I'm reading the chat now. Yeah, I don't know why she's got to be in solitary. I think it's risk to her own life, you know, because she's so famous, because her cases are infamous. I think that's why. That's why. So I'm just, oh, you're all having a good chat down there. So, hi, Marco. So, what do you think about this then? You know, the prosecution lawyer in Erin's case, here she is, Doctor Nanette Rogers, wasn't it? She was such a good prosecutor. You know, if you were ever in a position, which hopefully, you know, if you're in Australia, I hope you're never in a position where you need a prosecution lawyer. But, you know, if you did, she'd be the one you'd be looking for, that's for sure. I mean, her case against Erin, she constructed a case because Erin's case was not straightforward, was it? there was no smoking gun. There was a lot of little things that all added up like a jigsaw puzzle to a big thing, that convicted Erin. And it was this lady and her team that put it all together, put the puzzle pieces together, presented them to the jury. This is very important because, it is at the end of the day, the defense really, they don't have to do anything, do they? You're innocent till you're proven guilty. And it was this lady and her team that had to prove that Erin was guilty, not through one great big sort of, as I say, smoking gun piece of evidence, but through a lot of little pieces of evidence, circumstantial evidence, some sort of more concrete evidence like data, etc., and the photos of the death cap mushrooms that she had in, and her lies. To me, Erin really, she's almost convicted herself because her lies. Every time she opened her mouth, wasn't it? It was a lie, and we were using the. When it came to a court case and she stood up and testified, she wanted the jury to believe what she was saying, but she'd already admitted to all the other lies she told. The biggest one of which, of course, I think was saying that she had cancer when she didn't. Nearly all of us will know someone who has had cancer, if we've not ourselves. We'll know somebody in our family, in our friendship group that not only had cancer, but maybe died of cancer. So to lie about having cancer, it's just unbelievable. I mean, that to me just shows the person that Erin is, because that is there is lots of other things, she could have said, really, isn't it? But cancer, if she had to tell a lie in the first place, but cancer, it's such an emotive subject that there's nobody that's not affected by cancer one way or another, either them or their family or their friends, or so just to me that just showed what sort of person Erin is. So we all tell little porkies here and there, white lies of course, but talk about a big dobbing black murky lie of actually saying that you've got cancer. There's not many more lies worse than that, is there, that you could tell really about your health. So Erin, she's gone through this process. Even her own defense lawyer, Colin Mandy, he said before the sentencing that she deserved a life sentence. He's been quite quiet. We haven't heard of Erin appealing yet. She's still got time. There's still time for all the appeals. So it'd be interesting to see if the defense do come out. The prosecution do come out and appeal against this sentence. I hope they do. I think they should. I think it's too short. I know it's not short in a way. You say, oh yeah, because she's 50, isn't she? So 33 years, she'll be 83. Presuming that she gets parole, of course. I mean, she may get refused parole. And she'll be 83. But, I know 83-year-olds that are having a great life. They're fit, they're healthy. Erin will be looked after in prison. I know prison would be depressing to be there in prison in solitary confinement, but, she will have visitors and things like that and have some access to stuff. She won't have to worry about bills. She won't have to worry about if she does get ill, the police, if she does get ill, she'll get the best medical treatment, so it's quite possible that she might live to 83 and be quite healthy as well when she comes out. So I think it's just the closure of it as well. So if I was, this is the survivor, Ian, Ian, to be fair, he's in his late 60s, I think, or maybe he's 70 now. He is not likely to be around in 33 years, is he? No, possibly, you know, you never know. But just, I don't know, it just seems to me, it's almost like, it's not even so much the fact of whether she'll be fit enough to have a life or whatever when she comes out. It's the principle of it. It's the idea of it. It's not closed, is it? You know, you feel like one day she may well be out. And although Ian won't probably be around then, the family will. Ian's family, you know, him and his wife Heather, who died, who was murdered, they will be around. Somebody will be around, and to me, it just feels like then the family never get victims' families. They must, you know, you get this sigh of relief when anybody's put in prison. But then as it comes up to the time, like, you know, I'm thinking of cases in general now, time goes quicker than you think. Even if you think, oh yeah, they're in there for 15 years, 20 years. It's amazing how quick 20 years can go, as I'm sure you know. You know, 20 years can fly by, and then before you know it, you're facing the fact that this person might come out. There's lots of cases that we've covered, you know, big cases where the people are out already. I mean, look at the one that killed all his children, Mick. He's not out, but his wife is out now. I'll tell you another one that's out. Was it Becky Smith? It was her stepbrother and his girlfriend Shauna that murdered her. The girlfriend's out. You know, these people get out. If you look at the Hamalkas in over in Canada, you know, the Ken and Barbie killers, the woman is out, you know, and they're living, she's come out, got married, had children. So, you know, I think for the victims' families, it must be a sigh of relief to know that they're in prison, they're never coming out. You know, so you're not got to wait, you know, a few years on that, oh, they're coming out, and then anxiety, you know, etc. It's never, so it's, as I say, it's not whether Erin will ever manage to have a life again, as far as I'm concerned. It's the closure of it. It's the finish it off. She's gone into the hellhole. Forget her. She should have life without parole. She's killed 3 vulnerable people. You know, this is, you know, it's not an accidental, you know, fit of rage and didn't mean to kill someone. This is premeditated murder of 3 people and the almost murder of a 4th. So I don't think we, you know, it's not enough, in my opinion, anyway. Well, we'll see what happens. Let me just show you the news items about it then. Show you the news items about it then. Wrong one. I'm showing my own video. That's not good, is it? Let me turn the sound down on that. Didn't mean to show my own video. Hang on, let's see. Try to get the right one, Vicky. Oh, it's X. That's why it's on X. It's on X. Here it is.
Ticks down. Triple mushroom murderer Erin Patterson's jail term may be appealed by Victoria's leading prosecutors. They are reportedly unhappy with the mother of two's 33-year minimum jail term, saying it doesn't go far enough. The Office of Public Prosecutions is reviewing the 50-year-old sentence handed down by the Supreme Court by Justice Christopher Beale last week. It comes as Patterson's window to appeal her convictions ticks down. Triple mushroom murderer Erin Patterson's jail term may be...
Yeah, funny, isn't it? She hasn't appealed yet. Do you think she's going to? What do you think? Do you think she will appeal, or do you think she think, oh God, she's done? I bet her legal team probably saying you've done brilliant with that, to be honest. Hi, Jane. No, it's not complete darkness. It's just that she can't be with the other inmates. No, she'll have a nice little room, and she'll have all her creature comforts and things. She'll have everything she needs in there. She's not allowed to. I think there's one other inmate she's allowed to communicate with. Let's have a look at see what it says. And the other inmate is another twonk or twonkess. Let's see, I might have something. Yeah, so apparently she spends 22 hours a day in a cell, between 22 and 24 hours alone, and she's only allowed to speak to one other inmate. I'll show this. And it's no excuse for inhumane prison conditions. They're not inhumane. God, I just don't get this. What's inhumane is when you invite people, vulnerable, elderly people around to your house for lunch, knowing that you're going to murder them. That's inhumane. She's not under inhumane conditions. It's her own fault anyway, what she did. So let's see. So the defense drew attention to the harmful conditions of prison isolation, which she has already endured for approximately 400 days. And that is why the court judge, Judge Beale, that's why he took this into account with his sentencing. So it says here, a principle of modern democracies where the rule of law prevails, such as Australia, is that people are sent to prison as punishment, not for punishment. Sorry, I don't understand that at all. Of course it's for punishment. What are you talking about? Let's find another one. See what the Guardian says. So, Croatia. Hang on. They're trying to get us, I don't blame them. Must be difficult nowadays for papers, but I'm not spending £4 monthly on it, sorry. So, crochet isolation and the prison chaplain. Erin Patterson's life behind bars detailed in court. So the Victorian Supreme Court hears that they spend 22 hours a day in a cell and has no contact with other inmates. I mean, what do you think? Do you feel sorry for Erin? Do you think it shouldn't be like that? I mean, the only reason she's spending all that time in solitary confinement is because it's for her own safety, of course, so that the other inmates don't kill her. So apparently she's become a keen crocheter. Is that the right way of pronouncing it? A keen crocheter. Sounds terrible. Inside Victoria's maximum security women's prison, where she spends about 22 hours a day isolated. So her personal items include wool for crocheting, blankets she's crocheted, a hair straightener. That was intriguing, wasn't it? And a computer. What would you need a hair straightener for if you're not going anywhere? Let's see. She's only permitted to have contact with one other prisoner who is serving a sentence for terrorism and has attacked other inmates. But her defence barrister said she had never spoken to this person. So she, Hoskin said that Patterson, so Hoskin is this prisoner, isn't it? And said that Patterson had not engaged with the prison's chaplaincy services, but Colin Mandy told the court his client had used the service and seen the prison chaplain multiple times. Well, she's bound to find religion again, isn't she? She can't decide. One minute she's saying she's an atheist, she don't believe in God. She made fun of those people that she murdered because of their beliefs in God. They said they would pray for her. She thought that, but she said, fuck them. And that was quite a moment in the in the sentencing, because Judge Beale, Christopher Beale, he actually came out with that statement, didn't he, that Erin had come out with. Oh, this family, I just think fuck them. So she's a horrible person. I think the problem is Erin will be obviously good at manipulating. She's going to play the victim herself now. Is, oh, poor me, poor me. But I can't move on from those 4 people, and the three who died. And they were delighted to be invited to lunch with Erin. And they said it was delicious. All that. If you think about all that, how can you feel sorry for her? I don't care, sorry. They haven't even got, they can't even crochet. Do you know what I mean? They can't crochet. They can't do anything. They're dead. And they died an agonizing death. So I don't believe she, believes in God or anything like that. Not for a minute, in my opinion. So let's have a look at this video. Is it video? Yeah.
Time behind bars. Crown convicted triple murderer Erin Patterson could be facing even more time behind bars. Crown prosecutors are reviewing her 33-year sentence, concerned it was too lenient.
Jailed for a minimum 33 years, mushroom cook Erin Patterson was spared a life behind bars last week, but her so-called good fortune could be short-lived, with the Director of Public Prosecutions reviewing the case for appeal.
Look, from the outset, I thought it was a bit light on, given the gravity of the offence that she was convicted of.
Oh, Charlie, I like Charlie. So Charlie's one of these ex-detectives, but he's, talks about crime. He's retired now, but he's, I think, from what I can gather, and I mean, of course, there'll always be someone who disagrees because, well, we don't all have the same opinions about everything, do we? But I quite like Charlie. He quite often gets asked to speak. He's one of these ex-detectives. Got a good reputation from what I can gather.
I would have expected life with no parole.
So did Crown Prosecutor Jane Warren, but Justice Christopher Beale settled on a lighter punishment, taking into account Erin's harsh prison conditions in solitary confinement. There are now fears it'll set a precedent.
Well, that's a problem with our sentencing system. Yeah. Precedent plays a major role in it. And in future, they'll use this as a precedent case with other defence barristers.
An OPP spokesperson told 7 News the appeals process is stringent and difficult to achieve. The office still deciding what to do.
I think it's definitely a powerful and a clear message from the DPP. We want this closed. If you're even thinking about putting an appeal, we're going to come back and say that the sentence wasn't harsh enough.
Erin Patterson maintains her innocence, but it's unclear.
That's an interesting thing that he says there, that are the prosecution putting this out there to warn the defence not to appeal? Do you see what I'm saying? Because they haven't appealed yet. And I think it was you, Marco, said earlier, she's got nothing to lose. She probably will appeal. But is this the prosecution's sort of gambit, putting it out there to the defence team? Look, if you're even thinking about appealing this sentence, we're going to appeal for a longer sentence. So it's like there's still a little bit of a game going on there between the defence and the prosecution. And I expect the defence may be saying to Erin, don't appeal, because if you appeal, then maybe the prosecution will appeal as well. And you might end up with a longer sentence rather than a shorter sentence. So that might be why, because the prosecution have not put in an appeal. They've put out this is what happens, isn't it? They put out this sort of a taster, if you like. So basically maybe what they're saying is if you appeal, to the defence for a shorter sentence, we're going to appeal for a longer one.
Whether her team will challenge her convictions. Both sides have just 19 days left to lodge an appeal.
It could go either way. It could be harsher or it could be lower.
Beth and Yeoman, 7 News.
19 days. 19,
Is Prime Minister Albanese
19 days for either of them, I suppose, to make this appeal. So time's ticking. 19 days is not long, is it, really? So I just wanted to show you as well this little, I found this, just popped up, you know how things pop up on your YouTube feed. And this was, you know, this is a channel I've never heard of. There's a lot of Chinese writing on it. Hope they don't copyright strike me. Volume 75, Unit 6, The Mushroom Murder Mystery. So I can't tell you what the channel's called because it's all in Chinese. But the person is speaking in English. So if you're, give it a like. Should subscribe as well. I'm on my wrong. Anyway, do I want to switch? Anyway, it's okay. So yeah, let's have a look at this. It's just a short video, but I thought it was interesting because it gives a good recap.
Hello, everyone. Today's article is titled The Mushroom Murder Mystery. It tells the real-life story of Erin Patterson, an Australian woman accused of poisoning her former in-laws with death cap mushrooms. This case gripped the world with its strange details, emotional stakes, and legal drama. It blurred the line between tragic...
I mean, it certainly gripped the world, that's 100%, you know, and it's such a bizarre case. That's why it gripped the world, really, isn't it? You know, it's unheard of, isn't it? You know, have you ever heard of a case like this? You know, somebody inviting their estranged in-laws over for lunch, poisoning them with death cap mushrooms. I mean, it's like surreal, really, isn't it? You know, and then all the lies and all the drama, and then the court case went on for weeks. And then the summing up went on for days. And then Erin was the only person who spoke in her own defence, and that went on for days. I mean, it has been a true, like, you know, these sort of cases, people get, you know, it's a bit like O.J. Simpson or something like that, isn't it? These cases that go on for a long time, you know, when with sort of any bizarre details or whatever. You know, and there's O.J. Simpson, of course. He was found not guilty, which, you know, in my opinion, he was as guilty as hell. The hell that he's probably spinning in right now, because, of course, he died, didn't he, this year? So the thing is, you can escape justice so long, but when you come to meet your maker, I'm sure O.J. had a lot of accounting to do. You know, nobody will ever convince me that he was innocent. I think he was guilty. But he was found innocent. So that's the thing. He was found innocent. And our system, whichever Western democracy we live in, our system is go to court, get tried. And whatever decision the jury come to, that's the verdict. You know, you may agree with it, you may not agree with it, but that's the system. That's how Western democracy works. And, you know, sometimes the result is what you hope for, you know, as an outsider looking in, and sometimes it isn't. But, you know, we have to accept whichever decision it is, whether it's what we thought or not.
Accident and intentional crime, drawing global attention in the process. Let's pause for a moment before we move into the article. Before we examine what happened, it helps to consider a larger theme that gives us context. This will guide how we understand the story that follows. This brings us to a powerful theme: how we deal with truth and suspicion in emotional, high-stakes situations. A courtroom is supposed to find facts, but in reality, emotion, bias, and media attention often shape perception. In murder trials especially, the line between accident and intention can become dangerously blurred. What happens when a jury's decision carries not just legal consequences, but emotional weight for the entire nation? Why do you think the Erin Patterson case captured so much public attention? What makes a real-life case feel like fiction?
Yeah, so as you say, Jen, I mean, it's definitely AI, and they've created this, I don't know, this woman to give the sort of speaking English, but I enjoyed watching it. I think, I mean, I'm not a lover of AI, to be honest. I think AI is quite a scary thing in some ways, but not when it's clearly AI. I mean, I don't mind these ones that are clearly AI. Of course, the scary things are the deep fakes, aren't they? And where you're watching someone, you have no idea if it's real or not. I think there's a lot of that going on at the moment. In some of the big stories coming out of America, I don't know what's real, what isn't real, and so that's why I've stopped commenting on the Charlie Kirk thing. It all feels wrong enough to me. So, but I don't know, for certain. I think you never know for certain. So best thing to me to do is just switch off it completely, because also from what I can see, it just causes massive divides, and I don't want to cause divides. That's not what I'm here for. On this planet, I'm not here on this planet to divide people or stir up hatred towards another group of people, or I'm not here for that. And I feel like if there is any conspiracy theory in that, it's designed to stir people up. So I'm not going down that line. So this to me, it's okay. It's just presenting some information, some interesting questions there. Why do you tell me, why do you think the Erin Patterson case captured so much public attention? And what else are they asking? What makes a real life case feel like fiction? And it's true, isn't it? If this would have been a film, before it happened, of course, it will end up being a film at some point, won't it? You can show Netflix, someone's going to get a hold of it and release a documentary or some sort of thing about it. But before it happened, if it would have been a film, I don't know if people would have been interested in it, because they might have thought, that couldn't possibly happen, could it? I'm just looking at this AI woman. It's interesting how they've given her like a collar of pearls, isn't it? It's funny. It's like, so they've tried to make her like very nondescript. Like, when I say nondescript, I mean, not, I don't know, just sort of ordinary. And it's quite interesting. AI is interesting, but it's hard for me to get interested in it, really, because I don't understand it.
The Erin Patterson case drew massive public attention because it combined elements of mystery, family drama, and legal suspense. It wasn't just a story of death. It was a Sunday lunch turned fatal, a family gathering turned national scandal. People were fascinated by the idea that something as ordinary as a homemade meal could lead to tragedy. Add in the emotional weight of a daughter-in-law possibly poisoning her elders, and the case becomes deeply personal.
Yeah, I think it is the ordinariness of it as well. There's Erin, she's making herself out to be an ordinary mum, and this, that, and the other. She wasn't ordinary at all. She was sinister. Everything she did was sinister, wasn't it? And those children, although it's horrible for them to find this out about their mum, really they are better off without her at the end of the day, aren't they? Because she's a sinister woman. For me, I was just thinking, what was she going to do to them as time went on? She's so manipulative. So if not them, like when they were bringing partners home, if she didn't like the partners, would she bump them off? I mean, she's such a sinister person, but she presents as an ordinary sort of, 50-something housewife, like all those fallacies about her, that she was a good mum. She wasn't a good mum. That she was a good cook. She wasn't a good cook. She wasn't any of those things. She's just like this very manipulative person. And she was just lucky to inherit all the money that she inherited. This is what people are so lucky to, if people end up sort of getting on the good side of life financially like that, and not do anything good with it. And then, of course, she did lend quite a lot of that money to Simon's relatives, to her estranged husband's relatives. But she did that to control them, That's why she did it. It wasn't out the goodness of her heart. You know, you can just imagine. It's like coercive control. It's like they need money, you know, to buy a house or whatever. It's like, oh, I'll lend you the money. Yeah, but you don't know what the price is, do you? I've had that happen to me a couple of times with a couple of friends. There's always a price to pay, because they come out, it's like, oh yeah, you know, I'll do that for you, I'll help you. And you think, oh, because they get you in your real moment of need as well. You know, I'm not going into details, but sometimes you're between a rock and a hard place. It's not that you want to accept their help. You don't. You'd rather be able to do it yourself, but just for whatever reason, you can't do it yourself. And then somebody's there, you know, offering a hand to you to help you, and you're at your lowest because you just don't know how you're going to escape that situation. Someone comes along like Erin, oh, I'll lend you the money, I'll do that, you know, and you don't realise what a price you're going to have to pay for that. You know, it's like they own you then forever. You know, it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. But anyway, I mean, you're grateful at the time, of course you are, because it digs you out of a hole. But you know, as time goes on, you realise there's a price to pay, don't you? So there's a lot of people out there do that. They use their money to manipulate people, and people who are struggling and are needy, they are easily manipulated. So now, it won't have felt like that at the time when Erin was, oh, yeah, I'll give you this loan. I mean, I don't know what happens to those loans now. I mean, she made these loans to Simon's family, didn't she, for them to help to buy a house, I think, and things like that. I don't know what will happen now to whatever's left on those loans. Is she still due money back? You know, what? I suppose it will go to it should go to her children, really, shouldn't it? You know, if it's money from her estate, her children, I presume, are going to benefit from Erin's money at some point, and they should do, because they will need it, you know, because you know, they've been through quite a lot, and so if they managed to have their life without any money problems, well, that's good.
The media played a big role too. True crime podcasts, news alerts, and live courthouse updates made people feel like they were watching a scripted thriller. But what really intensified the case was the legal process. The jurors had to deliver a unanimous verdict. That means one person could hold up the whole trial. This pressure, the isolation of jurors, and the moral burden made the story as psychologically intense as any drama series. In short, real human stakes and emotional complexity made this case feel larger than life. Now, to understand this article better, we need to familiarize ourselves with key vocabulary. We'll go over 3 important expressions, learn their meanings, and see them in action with example sentences.
So do you think this is like a YouTube channel to learn English, but they're using, you know, sort of interesting, you know, I don't know what other ones. So this is volume 75, unit 6. Maybe they only deal with crime things, or maybe they talk about all sorts of things. I don't know. I just found it by accident. Just came up on my feed, as things do, because you're researching into Erin Patterson. This just came up, but it sounds like it's some sort of English language learning thing for in China. But that's just want to say what you said then, Bluebell. That's scary, isn't it? You know, the AI, I mean, China will be so far advanced in AI. Apparently part of this Trumpy visit is they've made some deal about AI or whatever to, you know, I don't know. But China are so far ahead. Apparently you can go, can't you? So even though your loved one is deceased, they can hologram your loved one and you can talk to them. And see, I don't know about that. What do you think? I mean, I could see how that could be a comfort. You know, you lose your loved one and then you see a way that you can talk to them somehow, but it's not them, is it? It's not them. You know, I can't decide. Again, please let me know what you think in chat, because do you think it's, if you could talk, like, you know, I'd love to talk to my dad again, my mum, and other people that I've lost in my life. But then there's another part of me that thinks, oh no, I don't know about that. It's a bit icky. So what do you think? You know, I mean, maybe that's just my age, and then younger people coming up now, they'll just think of it as a normal thing, as part of the grieving process, that you go and chat to your dead relative, you know, or loved one. Let me know what you think.
Let's start with feud. It means a long and often bitter conflict between people or groups, especially within families.
Oh, it's interesting, isn't it, the way they're presented? So yeah, it is obviously some sort of English language type thing.
The article describes a family feud that added emotional tension to the trial. Here's an example. The siblings' feud over inheritance lasted for years and tore the family apart. Next, we have juror. It refers to a member of the jury, a group of citizens who decide the outcome of a court case. In this trial, jurors were sequestered and under pressure to reach a unanimous verdict. Here's an example. The juror said the evidence was clear, but the emotional weight of the case made it hard to decide. Finally, let's look at prosecutor. A prosecutor is a legal official who tries to prove that the accused person is guilty in court. In this case, prosecutors argued that the mushroom poisoning was intentional. Here's an example. The prosecutor presented forensic evidence to support the theory of premeditated murder.
I'm really finding this quite interesting, this video. But anyway, yeah, did you remember that film? There was a spate of films about AI, wasn't there? There was iRobot. That was one film. And then there was that other, what was it? Was it called AI? And it was that young lad. Let's see. I mean, it was a brilliant film, but it was really creepy. Yeah, it was in 2001. A 2001 sci-fi drama film. Steven Spielberg was the director. And it was with that Haley Joel Osment. He was a famous child actor at the time. Jude Law, you never really hear about him now. Francis O'Connor, William Hurt. And it was a really good film, I thought. Let's see if I can get the images up. Let's see, what would be a good image to show? Anyway, so these are AI. Yeah, Jude Law. I don't know if you saw it, but it was a very spooky film. It was a good film, but I didn't like it. It gave me the creeps. But of course, it's all happening now, really, in real life. So what it was this boy, he was a robot boy. And but of course, in the film, the AI had got to such a level that you couldn't tell the difference between real human beings and the AI ones. And this family, their son had an accident and went into a coma. And so they didn't ever think they were going to get their son back. They never... Oh, I haven't seen Firebrand Bluebell. Yeah, it's a good film. So, yeah, they didn't ever think they were going to get their son back. Their son was in a coma, and the doctors told them he would never recover. You know, he would never come back. But they were keeping him alive, you know, artificially. So what they did was they got a robot boy, like, to replace him. Then, of course, you can guess what happened next. Their son recovered, and they tried to keep them together, like, you know, to keep the boy, the real boy and the robot boy. But anyway, to cut a long story short, it didn't work out, and they ended up rejecting the robot boy. It's a very sad film, you know, but it asks a lot of questions, you know, about human nature. Anyway, Jude Law, he was another one of these sort of half human robots. But going back to what you were saying, like, so there would be brothels, you know, with robots and things like that. I mean, it's very, very good. In fact, I'd like to see it again because it's been many years. That's 25 years ago, the film. It was 2001. But I'd like to see it again because it raised a lot of ethical questions at the time about robots. But now you feel that literally that film is real life now, you know. That's what people who can't have children, will they be getting robot children, babies? You know, so I don't think he ever got any older. I think when you go, so you'd have that. I don't think that he age progressed at all as a robot. I think it was, you know, you get the child and that was it. He'd be a child forever. But very interesting film because, of course, these robots, they had emotions by then. So that boy felt the rejection. He felt the rejection of his parents. To him, they were his parents, and he loved them like his mother and father, and they rejected him because he didn't get on with their real son when he recovered from his coma. It's a very interesting film. I think it's more even appropriate now, isn't it, with the times that we're living in now? They're 20 odd years on. Just feel like that's probably happening somewhere in the world. So I've never seen Firebrand. I must look out for that. He plays Henry VIII. Yeah, that's interesting. But of course, his career went a bit down the pan, didn't it, for various reasons. But anyway, let's watch the end of this.
Now that we've explored the main themes and vocabulary, let's reinforce our understanding with a summary dictation exercise.
Oh, let's do it.
Listen carefully and fill in the blanks. In Australia, Erin Patterson went on trial for allegedly poisoning 3 former in-laws with death cap mushrooms served in a homemade beef Wellington. The dramatic case, filled with family tension, tragic deaths, and courtroom suspense, drew global attention and sparked debate. With a unanimous verdict required, jurors faced intense pressure. For many, the story blurred the line between accident and murder, and proved truth can be stranger than fiction. Let's check the answers and review what each word means. The first answer is on trial. It means being formally judged in a court of law for a suspected crime. The second answer is allegedly. This means something is claimed to be true, even though it has not yet been proven. The third answer is suspense. It refers to a feeling of intense uncertainty or anxiety about what will happen next. The fourth answer is unanimous. It means that all members of a group completely agree on a decision without any opposition. The fifth answer is verdict. This is the final decision made by a jury at the end of a trial.
Hope you all got those right.
Well done, everyone. We explored the blurred line between accident and intention, as well as how the media shapes public perception of justice. The Erin Patterson case shows how family conflict, mystery, and courtroom pressure can collide in real life. Here's your reflection question. Would you ever want to serve on a jury? Why or why not? Let's revisit this in our next session. Until then, keep thinking critically and stay informed.
That's very interesting. Now I don't know how do they have juries in China? I mean, I know that sounds like a bloody ridiculous question, but I don't know anything about Chinese justice. I mean, don't forget, you know, our news, you know, I live in Spain. I get a little bit of different news because I get more South American news and things, not just, you know, if you live in the UK or America, really the only news you get is what you're fed, and any news about China or Russia or any other country like that, these pariah countries, you only get, like, you know, you don't really know what's going on in those countries. You only get fed what propaganda your country wants you to know about them. So I don't know if in China they have jury trials. In fact, I'm going to Google that because or does anybody know? Every country has a slightly different you know, justice system, obviously, but So apparently there are no jury trials in mainland China. Instead, a system of people's assessors exists, where ordinary citizens are appointed to sit on collegiate benches with judges to hear specific cases. These assessors, who are not professional lawyers, decide on the facts of a case but do not rule on the application of the law. This is different from a traditional jury, which would make an independent verdict on guilt or innocence. Interesting. People's assessors. I'd like to look into that a bit, actually, because, you know, does that work better? I don't know. So apparently they have the same power as judges, but they can't hear a case alone or act as a chief judge. They are involved in deciding the facts of the case, but are excluded from ruling on the legal aspects. And the selection process for assessors in China is not selected from the general public. It's more structured and involves random selection from a qualified pool of people. Gosh, that's interesting, isn't it? What do you think of that? Do you think that's a better system? Do you think, because obviously most Western democracies, they have the jury system, so it's 12 people from society, like, and normally for high profile cases, they select, like for Erin's trial, was it not 150, 15 jurors were selected out of probably quite a big range of people, and 15 are selected, and they sat through the whole case. But at the end, one was dismissed during Erin's case. One was dismissed for allegedly discussing it with their family or whatever. So that left 14 jurors. And, you know, they sat through all that trial that went on for months. And then at the end, then it's selected who actually makes the verdict. So if there were 15 to start with, one got dismissed for blabbing about the case, 14 left. Then there was a ballot, and 2 of them were removed and only 12 left. So imagine, you sat through all that for months and then you never even got a chance to have an input on the verdict. Anyway, that's how it worked in Erin's case. And, you know, it's, you know, court cases are interesting, aren't they? They are. And Erin's case, as you know, we followed it every morning. Oh, my God. But it felt like, you know, something missing when it all finally finished. Because we'd been talking about it every morning, haven't we? So suddenly it was like, oh, what we're going to talk about this morning. But there you go. There's always something else to talk about, I suppose. But it is interesting following trials. It was interesting because in Australia, like a lot of places, it's not until the actual trial that you get to know things. So, of course, ever since Erin was arrested, it's been really quiet, hasn't it? Same with the Samantha Murphy case. That's not being heard till next April, I think. Bloody hell. I mean, that's still ages away, isn't it? Samantha's poor family having to wait all that time. But anyway, that's how it works in Australia. So, really, we've heard nothing about Samantha Murphy, have we, for ages? There's no news about anything else being found, any more developments in the search for a body, nothing. And the evidence, which apparently there's loads of evidence, we don't get to know any of it until the trial starts. So that's likely to be a long trial as well, isn't it? So, hi, Angel, you're back. So, yeah, it's been, I think, it's the same in most, I think it's the same in the UK, really. You know, like that guy that got arrested for allegedly putting drugs in the children's sweets at the camp, the summer camp. We haven't heard anything since then. We won't hear anything now until the trial, whenever it is. So it's like, what's the word? They don't want to prejudice the trial, do they? And it's fair enough, but it's quite strange, isn't it, when it all goes quiet and you think, you know, quite often, especially with Samantha Murphy and other cases, people will send me emails or messages and say, oh, no, you haven't talked about Samantha Murphy for ages. There's nothing to say, literally nothing to say. And let's just go over the same thing over and again because there's no information being released. And it was, oh, sorry, I just realised I left my banner on all the way through it. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You know, so that's how it is. We have to wait for the trial, and then the information will come out bit by bit, won't it, during the trial? And there'll be some bombshells. There'll be some bombshells with the Samantha Murphy case, just like there were with the Erin case. You know, things that we didn't know that come out. You know, we're the public. We're not to know about, you know, the police investigations. Because the police's priority is to secure a conviction. So they're not going to blab about, you know, evidence and stuff like that. They do a bit in America. America's different. America and certain states especially are so transparent, aren't they? Other states are a little bit less transparent. But generally, you do get more information come through even before the trial in America, but not in Australia, as we've seen, not in the UK, not in Spain. You don't get anything in Spain. Even after the trial, you don't get much. You know, so this is the way these, that's the way it works. So, you know, there's nothing really we can do about it. Let's just have a look again at this. Just have a look again at this news item. Let's watch this.
Triple murderer Erin Patterson could be convicted. Triple murderer Erin Patterson could be facing even more time behind bars. Crown prosecutors are reviewing her 33-year sentence, concerned it was too lenient.
Jailed for a minimum 33 years, mushroom cook Erin Patterson was spared a life behind bars last week, but her so-called good fortune could be short-lived, with the Director of Public Prosecutions reviewing the case for appeal.
Look, from the outset, I thought it was a bit light on, given the gravity of the offence that she was convicted of. I would have expected life with no parole.
So did Crown Prosecutor Jane Warren, but Justice Christopher Beale settled on a lighter punishment, taking into account Erin's harsh prison conditions in solitary confinement. There are now fears it'll set a precedent.
Well, that's a problem with our sentencing system. Precedent plays a major role in it, and in future they'll use this as a precedent case with other defence barristers.
An OPP spokesperson told 7 News the appeals process is stringent and difficult to achieve. The office still deciding what to do.
I think it's definitely a powerful and a clear message from the DPP. We want this closed. If you're even thinking about putting an appeal, we're going to come back and say that the sentence wasn't harsh enough.
Erin Patterson maintains her innocence, but it's unclear whether her team will challenge her convictions. Both sides have just 19 days left to lodge an appeal.
It could go either way. It could be harsher or it could be lower.
Beth Yeoman, 7 News.
So that's what we've been talking about. We'll see what happens, but yeah, it sounds like maybe the prosecution team are you know, she's clever, that prosecution woman. They're using it as a way of trying to stop the defense from appealing. They're saying to them, you appeal, we're going to appeal, and she might end up with a higher sentence. So okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you about Erin Patterson. Let's have a look what Trump has been up to so for those of you who don't know, Donald Duck, or Trumpy, he is in the UK on a visit, which, you know, fair enough, he is the president at the end of the day. So, you know, Keir Starmer is creeping all around him, but a lot of people are not happy about it because of the connections to Epstein. So let's just have a look at this. So there's a lot of protests, as you can imagine. And look, some clever person has, you know, put these, what would you call them? Holograms, I suppose, projections up onto Windsor Castle. So obviously they can't get anywhere near Windsor Castle, you know, but so, you know, people are clever, aren't they, really, what they do. So instead they projected, 4 people have been arrested. So, you know, forget about free speech. They've been arrested. What did they do to get arrested? You know, they projected some holograms. They haven't hurt anybody. They haven't, you know, Donald Trump is a PDF. And they can, you know, this is going to haunt him forever. You know, as a convicted SEX offender, people can dodge around it however they want, but he is. And he was a close associate of Epstein. Anyway, just goes to show there's no limit to anyone's ingenuity, is there? Okay, let's have a look at the actual, see what's going on at the moment. We might have
to believe that the president would be arriving here in Windsor just before midday. I mean, I don't know if he's cutting it fine. I know it's a short helicopter ride. These things tend to move pretty swiftly.
So they're expecting him
the action starts to take place. We've been building up to it. We're about to see the start of this official visit, really, aren't we?
I've just been talking to some of the guys, the folk who've gathered down here in Windsor. There are people who are not fans of President Trump, and there are people who are big fans of President Trump, Brits who absolutely love him. And there's kind of an interesting dynamic, because the people here who are big supporters of...
Yes, I mean, he is. Of course, there are a lot of people that love him, so I'm sorry if I've upset you by calling him Trumpy or Donald Duck or whatever, you know, because there are a lot of people that love him, and, you know, that's fine. Everybody's got their opinions, haven't they? Got their views. The only thing I ever thought about Donald Trump when he got back into, I thought he would end the wars, and I thought, please, end the wars, but he hasn't even managed to do that. So, you know,
Donald Trump tend to be supporters of, guess who? Nigel Farage. Reform. All parties further to the right of reform. So there's a kind of weird dynamic for Keir Starmer here, because the guy he's cozying up to is closely aligned and has a kind of political rapport with people who support Keir Starmer's biggest threat, and that is Nigel Farage and reform.
I bet Keir Starmer hasn't slept for days, because first of all, he's just had to sack Peter Mandelson for his ties to Epstein, and then he's got Donald Trump coming, who's so unpredictable. And, you know, Keir Starmer probably can't wait to get this over with. But it's necessary. I do think it is necessary.
This is about much more than just the principles. It's not just the king and the president. It's not just the prime minister and the president. There's more going on behind the scenes. Marco Rubio is I think it's fair to say, one of the quieter, more measured voices on foreign policy in the Trump administration. Has just been in Israel. There are Israeli flags, there are Palestinian flags here. Israel is a massive challenge at the moment. We've seen what's going on in Gaza City over the course of the last couple of days. And I think behind the scenes, on the sidelines, there will be discussion about Gaza, about what next, about the day after that. There's so much to discuss, so much resting on these 2 days. It's really important.
Well, the royals, we understand, will be reinforced today. We're just hearing word that the Queen will be part of this state visit in full after recovering from acute sinusitis.
It's not my Queen, never be the Queen. Never,
will be
ever
attending this state visit in full and will be part of the royal contingent.
Is it just me? Like when they say the Queen, I think the Queen's dead. You know, they keep trying to call Shamila the Queen. She's not the Queen. So yesterday she said she wasn't doing any engagement. She didn't go to the royal funeral. Was it the Duchess of Kent who died? And she didn't go to that funeral, but she's coming to see Trump. So, you know, some people were thinking, oh, well, she's just pretending to be ill because, you know, in respect to Trump's victims. Rubbish, she doesn't care about women. She's never cared about women. She couldn't give a toss about any women except herself.
that welcome the President and the First Lady here to Windsor Castle within the next few moments. We're looking at an expanse of green here, Mark. Oh, it's just disappeared, but these are the skies above the residence. Of course, Marine One is what will be transporting the President and First Lady here.
I think that's Primrose Hill.
Yeah, those dogs were having a lovely time. Stealing the show there.
It's raining there, so he'll fly, as you say, on Marine One. There'll be a decoy helicopter
Dogs always
as well.
steal the show, don't they?
Usually 2, sometimes 3 helicopters, all look exactly the same. And he's in one of them, the others decoys because of security. There's a bit of rain on that lens. Weather does impact the flight of the helicopter. Maybe it has delayed it slightly. I don't know if it's raining harder in central London. It's holding off here, which is a great relief.
It's starting to get a little bit windy here.
Yeah, I was talking to
it sounds like
some of the military who have been organising this for weeks now, and one of their big concerns was the rain, because that kind of literally puts a dampener on it, makes it a lot harder. The soldiers get very, very wet. The good news is it's holding off for now, at least, for the beating the retreat later on. It could be a bit wet, but
I mean, the great British weather, right?
Yeah, and the carriage as well. I mean, the carriages that Trump will travel in, we think they're going to be covered, just in case it rains. It might be a relief for the president with his hair, like mine, tends to go up.
I mean, mine's doing a good job of flying away as well, Mark. So we've all got that in common today. And of course, the red arrows, whenever we see the red arrows at celebratory events, there's always a bit in brackets at the end that says subject to conditions. Of course, the red arrows need the best conditions to be able to fly. And that really is going to be the crescendo of all this pomp and pageantry today, that fly past from the red arrows.
Oh, yeah, the red arrows
these are the pictures I was talking
about bad weather.
Here on the right of the screen, Mark. Marco Rubio, who I think, can you see him there at the back on the right there? Marco Rubio, this is part of the president's team. And of course, we talk about all the politics and the diplomacy and the important talk.
Listen, Trumpy won't want to come out while it's windy because his hair will go everywhere. So unless he wears a hat or something, can you imagine his hair in the wind?
Going on the sidelines, very, very important.
Yeah, you can see there the screen on the left, central London. I'm sure our cameraman will pop into view any moment now to wipe that lens. But
there it is.
There we go. That is Marine One. One of the helicopters, as we were saying, they do fly in formation for security purposes.
Usually, maybe not today. We'll see.
But that, we believe, is Marine One. Unclear as to whether it is just hovering or just taken off from there.
I wouldn't want to get in that helicopter. I don't like helicopters. They're not very safe, are they?
So
always
President
accidents.
Trump set to leave from Windsor Castle. That is
there's no
Marine
visibility.
One. And then official proceedings get underway, Mark. What are you going to be keeping an eye on today? You said you were down there talking to the protesters because, of course, the numbers have been building. When I came here earlier on, not that many people out and about. There are going to be protests happening in central London as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But in terms of the optics, what are you looking out for?
Well, I will be interested to see how big the protests are. I mean, remember for his last state visit, there was that blow-up Trump blimp that we were saying is now in a museum.
Yeah, we're not going to see that this visit.
I don't think we're going to see that. I think the protests, it feels to me as though they're going to be quite a bit smaller at this time. I think times have changed. Politics has changed. There is clearly a movement here in the UK, a political movement that finds itself.
Okay, I've got to go now, unfortunately, but I will be carrying on watching that. But I don't know if you saw the Trumperton. Did you see? I don't know if you saw the headlines going across the bottom there. Will we get to hear, I wonder, about that headline? That a man, what did it say? Let's have a look. It'd be on the other news. Come on, where is it? Home, UK politics. A man has been charged with, I think it was 5 blackmail and communications offences in Westminster. Now that, that's been kept quiet, isn't it? Who is it? So this will be some politician here. Let's have a look. Just have a look at this. You know, you always have to watch, you know, when the news is like it's all Trumperton. But there's things going on in the background. This will be something. Man charged with blackmail over WhatsApp messages to people in Westminster circles, including MPs. And the offences, you know, the MP, they're all, do you know what? Westminster is a cesspit. So the offences relate to the sending of alleged unsolicited indecent images. What's all that about, I wonder? Who is this man? A man who allegedly sent WhatsApp messages to 5 people within Westminster circles, including MPs, has been charged with blackmail and communications offences. Oh, here he is. Oliver Steadman, 28, charged with 1 count of blackmail in relation to alleged unwarranted demands for the telephone numbers of up to 12 people. Who is he? Who is he? You know, there's so many politicians. There's at least 50 MPs of different, you know, political things. At least 50 with outstanding, you know, with charges or with investigations. So I've never heard of this person. Oliver Steadman. Let's see what it comes up with on the old Google. So the thing is, what's interesting is you get politicians like Nadine Dorries saying, oh, yeah, Westminster's a cesspit. But she's saying it's a cesspit. So, you know, why didn't she say anything when she was an MP? Well, she's in reform now, isn't she? She's gone. Oh, he's a Labour. Oliver Steadman, Labour councillor. Ex-Labour councillor charged over Westminster honey trap. I think that's something I'll be looking at some point. Oh, look at him. There he is. There he is. Islington. Isn't that Jeremy Corbyn's borough? Yeah, you see, sometimes you have to notice these stories that get buried amongst other stories. A honey trap scandal. So British MPs and political figures reporting they'd received explicit images and flirtatious messages. So it sounds like what the guy's been doing. So he obviously knows that people are susceptible maybe to indecent images and sent them just hoping that somebody would buy it. I don't know. Interesting. Never heard of him before. I've never heard of this story before. But you know what? There's so many of them going on. Yeah, these MPs. Oh my God, who was it? Well, I've heard lots of things. The thing is, you hear things. You don't know what's true, what isn't true. But then you get people like Nadine Dorries and other ex-MPs when they get, you know, when they're not like ministers anymore, suddenly start saying, oh, yeah, all these terrible things that are going on in Westminster. Oh, why didn't they say something at the time? Why didn't they say something at the time? If, you know, all the MPs supposed to be having orgies all around the parliaments and everything. You had Boris Johnson, Carrie, his wife, his now wife, supposedly was caught giving him a blowjob in a parliamentary office. You know, these are all things, you know, that you get to hear about. There's, you know, it's just think, oh, for fuck's sake, like, aren't there any good people in politics? It's, you know, what the hell is going on? It's just no wonder people are fed up with everything. Not that I think like anyone like Nigel Farage is going to make any difference. They're just the same. They're just the same. He's as corrupt as anything. You know, his tax. He didn't pay it, did he? He's like going on about Angela Rayner. It turns out he bought a house in his wife's name or whatever to avoid pay. They're all the same. He's not any different. And you know what? He's got loads of money. That Richard Tice from Reform, he's a millionaire. They've all got money. They just want more They don't care about Britain. They don't, you know, Nigel Farage, his wife he travels on a European passport. He's got a European passport, as have his children, even though he promote Brexit. Same with Tommy Robinson, or Thomas, what's his name? His real name, Laxley Lennon, or whatever his name is, who's actually, you know, a Zionist. When you look into these people, you know, patriots, he lives up the road from me, Tommy Robinson. He lives in Spain, not that far from where I live. And he travels on an Irish passport. And he's not, he doesn't even live in Britain, you know, and he's there bloody stirring up hate. Terrible, horrible person. Sorry, that's what I think. And people don't realise it. It's like, oh yeah, good old Tommy, you know, patriot. He's such a patriot. He don't even live in Britain. He lives in Spain. And but you know, he's extolling the virtues of Brexit. It doesn't affect him because he's got an Irish passport. So Brexit makes no difference to him. And who's paying him? You know, he's like probably Netanyahu, you know, because he's, you know, these things that go so deep, all this stirring up of hate and division. And, you know, I really realised this week even more. I always think it anyway, but you imagine living in Britain and you know, you look like, you know, you're a foreigner, like, but maybe you've lived in Britain 30 years, but you're a Muslim, so you have to go out in your hijab or whatever you have to wear as a woman. And just like me the other day, I look like I don't look Spanish, so I'm going out and I've been verbally abused and nearly hit with a walking stick by someone because I'm a disgusting foreigner, and all foreigners do is come to murder and steal. Revolting foreigner, dirty foreigner, get back to your own country. That's what those immigrants have to live with every day because of people like Tommy Robinson. It's a revolting person. It's not even his real name, Laxley Lennon or what is his real name? You know, don't even use his real name. He doesn't want people to know he's Jewish. He doesn't want people to know he lives in Spain. And he doesn't want people to know that he travels on an Irish passport. You know, he's, I think he's like, he's in the payment of people, you know, I do. If you look into him, he's got a history of criminal convictions. Where does it say what his? I want to find his real name. Stephen Yaxley Lennon is his real name. He was born in London, in Luton, in 1982. An Irish mother and English father. So he made sure he got his Irish passport, didn't he? Made sure he got his Irish passport so he can travel freely around Europe. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. What patriot he is, it doesn't even live there. Anyway, that's my bugbear about him. You know, he says he's a patriot, doesn't live there. Who's paying him? What is he living off? You know, what is he living off? You know, you have to think about these things, don't you? Anyway, okay, I'm off. I'm off to get some lunch and watch Trumpy Trumperton and whatever he's up to. And I will see you really soon in the next video. Thank you for watching. Let's hope that the prosecution do manage to appeal against Erin's sentence. Or now what that I've watched that, I think reading between the lines, the whole idea of them saying that is to the defense, if you appeal, we're going to appeal. So Erin might end up with a longer sentence, but probably she'll just end up with the sentence she's got. 19 days to appeal for both of them. So okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until I see you again, as always, may your God go with you. Thank you so much. Bye.